Hi, everyone. Once again, an interesting session to say the least in the overall stock market today. We need to actually now, which seems absolutely absurd to me, watch this market for a potential bounce higher. The reason why is even though the Nasdaq was up 0.16% today, it was a big reversal. We didn't even why here there's so many theses to draw to a conclusion after today's session that this could turn into a long video shit. Anyway, the Nasdaq did not breach the previous lows here in April by the 200-day moving average, did not retest 200-day moving average. So I find it hard to believe that this bounce signals a real bottom, especially considering the rate that the VIX is at. If we look at the VIX, we can see that intraday we didn't get any fear. We didn't even hit over 16. So once again, there's no fear in this market. It's complacency, which I guess we can march higher in complacency, but I'm going to repeat, how much further do you think we can really go? I mean, my God, there just isn't a whole lot left to the upside besides a rotation of big caps. So maybe we rotate into big caps, sell those off, rotate back into growth. But the bottom line is that I still think we're going to be very, very choppy based on the gap between the 50-200-day moving average. I think these two things need to tighten up, and then we need to move higher. So I think that we're in for some big chop here. New York Stock Exchange looks bullish, but overall between all these pocket pivot point signals, there are two pocket pivot point sell signals. So this isn't the strongest signal for me, but it's good volume, it's a good reversal, and we are even though we didn't close higher than where we open, it's a strong reversal. And the same can be seen in the S&P 500. That was a really good day, but overall, I'm still not sure what to think. All I know is that the thesis of this market cracking began and then reversed. So with the weakness that we had intraday, I would have thought that we would have sold off, but I constantly am seeing intraday reversals, and this is the FAS. So it makes me think, man, that we might not get this damn crash yet, which means that we're going to have to deal with more chop, more weird uptrending, and not any big gains. There's still some momentum out there in the small cap arena in pump and dumps. MINE was a pump and dump that I was watching intraday. This one was on everybody's radar. It broke out, continued higher, and produced good gains. But while that one worked, at the same time, SPLI, whenever it finally broke out, which was right here, it reversed immediately and didn't do anything. So it's not still the best session for, even getting huge gains on the upside. The one thing that continues to work is the plug short and ARTX short. Plug, though, especially, boy, oh boy, oh boy, did that thing work. And in a very short amount of time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, 34% gain. But overall, it's a bit of a mixed market here, so cash is definitely king. And with those recent hedges that we just put on, a close below the low a day of the Friday session, and we're completely out of this one. SOXS, the same thing. SPXU, this one now, we can go ahead and use the low a day of today's session for that one since we got such a good fill on it. SRTY, the same thing, and SQQQ, the same thing. Like I said, I continue to think that we're going to be in a choppy situation for this summer until the 50 and 200-day moving average kiss each other, and that means that we'll continue to rotate in the NYC. If the NYC rolls over from here, it will get ugly, but it's just cash is king right now, guys. There's no fear in this market. A huge amount of bulls, no bears still. I see a lot of trap longs, a lot of people buying the dip, and basically a lot of the things that I see in the message boards, user groups, and in the chat rooms that I go into and look at are people buying stocks. So it's just a be careful moment, everybody. I think we're just going to be in for some slop coming up summer, which means you can all take a break. Anyway, the only signals we have is BXC is a 20% sell. First time it's selling below the 5-day moving average, and it's doing it on very well above average volume in red bop. Ugly, ugly day. So 20% is coming off. OCIR is also barely closing below the 50-day moving average. Another poor intraday session. Back-to-back huge volume reversals off the highs. This time with red bop. So OCIR, we are completely out of that one. And then whenever you look at Bank of America and Salesforce.com, it looks like the market wants to shit the bed. But then you go and you look at Apple and you're like, wow, maybe I should have bought that gap up, which to me, volume wasn't big enough to do. But since then, Apple has gone from 567 to 593. I would, God, I would like to think that what we're seeing here is the market makers and HFTs and people that are already long Apple, they're going to run this thing up before they actually do the 7-for-1 stock split. Everybody's going to see Apple moving and the market not doing anything. They're going to think this is 2011, 2012 again. They'll all be buying Apple right whenever the funds decide to start selling before that 7-for-1 split. Like I said, imagine if you had 500,000 or 5, let's do 5 million shares of Apple. Okay, let's say you own 5 million shares of Apple if you're a hedge fund. You do a 7-for-1 split, all of a sudden you have 35 million shares of Apple. What's an easier thing to sell, 5 million shares of Apple or 35 million shares of Apple? You tell me. So that's where I think that we're doing this little run up here. But Apple's definitely keeping the market up. So as long as that's the case, we got to continue to go ahead and take long signals when we get them. I got 3 tonight, ABB, POL, and Coach. Coach has earnings tomorrow before the opening bell, so that's done. And then the chemical stock, Poly One Corporation, has earnings on the 30th, so that will not be long. The only stock that's clear of earnings is ABB, and it is a gappy stock, so have fun with that one. It is going to be a 5% position based on the risk-reward relationship of this chart. It's best to view it on a long-term Zoom 1. As you can see, it's been a steady uptrend. The pocket pivot point buy signals, there are no pocket pivot point sell signals in between the 1, 2, 3, 4 signals that we have, so it appears good to go. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Cash is king.